Lamb of God's Into Oblivion, Zakk Wylde's touchy tribute, and Judas Priest finally deliver the goods. Metal is life and well, so let's see what keeps it going today. Here you go. Metallica is breaking a record. Again. So it looks like the rumors are finally materializing, and Metallica can actually become the first ever metal band to perform at the legendary Las Vegas Sphere, as apparently the band is already this close to finalizing the deal. Okay. According to the report, Metallica is 90% through a negotiation to do a series of shows at the Sphere in 2027, after the end of their M72 tour. Which, by the way, also tells us the M72 tour will apparently end this year. 4 years after it began. And it is also said that James Hetfield, Lars Ulrich, Kirk Hammett, and Robert Trujillo themselves have already met with the venue executives and technical teams to plan the entire Metallica show. And if this is true, Metallica will actually become the very first metal band ever to hold a residence at the most iconic, futuristic venue in the world. And here's the thing, I know that many people around the world simply love giving crap to Metallica for pretty much anything they do. You know, for being too commercial, for being not commercial enough, for, not knowing how to play and yada yada yada. Literally for pretty much anything this band does. But the truth is that it is Metallica who are bringing metal to the masses, and to this very day are actually a gateway to the wonderful world of metal for many young kids around the world. I mean, they were a gateway for me as well. Although more than 30 years ago, but still. What about you? Alright! And if Metallica actually goes through with the residency at the Sphere, well, this will be a huge step forward for the entire genre of metal, and might actually open the doors for many rock and metal bands around the world. So yeah, I'm actually keeping my fingers crossed for Metallica and the Sphere thing to happen. And I don't know about you, but I would actually pay pretty much any price to witness that show live myself. Here guys, super quick, I just simply have to point out that only around 30% of the people who watch my videos are actually subscribed to this channel, so if you're not one of those, and especially if this is not the first video you're watching here, I would really appreciate it if you would consider subscribing right now. Let's continue building this amazing heavy metal community together. The Ballad of Judas Priest. Alright, Judas Priest fans, we're finally getting what we've been asking for years now. The band's official film, The Ballad of Judas Priest, of which of course spoke gazillion times on the show before this episode, has finally gotten its official release date and is now set to receive its world premiere at the Berlin International Film Festival this February, finally giving heavy metal maniacs what they've been asking for. The documentary follows Priest's full journey from the industrial streets of Birmingham to becoming one of the bands that shaped heavy metal itself, and does so without turning into a glossy highlight reel, as it is supposed to be one of the most personal and honest conversations Judas Priest have ever had on camera, directed by Sam Dunn alongside Tom Morello, both of whom of course are huge Judas Priest fans. But what I loved about this announcement the most, well, in addition to the whole fact that Judas Priest are actually delivering on their promises, and just months after announcing this documentary, they're already premiering it. But anyways, what I loved about it is the choice of the Berlinale itself, as this isn't just another festival screening, it is one of the world's most respected cultural platforms, and Judas Priest landing there is a statement that heavy metal history belongs in the same conversation as any other major cultural movement. So I truly hope that the doors to that one will be opened, at least to some diehard Judas Priest fans. And yeah, by the way, although I did not see that film yet, I do want to once again answer some of the most popular questions among all Judas Priest fans. Yes, it will feature both Al Atkins and KK Dowden. Oh, and by the way, just a reminder for you guys, a couple of months before Judas Priest announced their documentary, Iron Maiden actually announced theirs, which was supposed to air this autumn. Yet unfortunately, we still don't know when is it coming. And I truly hope that we will get that information very, very soon. Come on, Maiden! Look at your bodies! Here, guys, in between the segments, I just want to point out that those of you who are subscribed to my Instagram and Facebook pages know that I was actually in Bucharest for a rather important trip this week. But unfortunately, because of crazy attacks on Ukrainian infrastructure, I had to cut it short and rush to my wife and my kids amidst the craziest of times. There's almost no electricity here whatsoever. I'm actually outside right now to charge the phone a little bit and to get some food to eat for us because, you know, only business and takeout work right now. So this Metal Digest is once again going to be slightly shorter than I hoped. You know, I'm lagging behind on a couple of episodes. I know that, but guys, hope you understand what is going on here. And thank you guys for all your support, and a huge thanks to all my patrons and all of the YouTube channel members and everyone who purchases Metal Pilgrim merch. Guys, in all honesty, you guys help me stay afloat and keep releasing these videos. So thank you guys from the bottom of my heart, and on to the next segments. Oh yeah.
This dude is old.
New Van Halen. Legendary Van Halen drummer Alex Van Halen will release a brand new album together with the tall guitarist and a respected session musician Steve Lukather, and apparently he'll do it very soon. As Alex said in the Logan show, he and Lukather are longtime friends, and the new album will be built on this. Yet the most interesting thing is that it will actually feature quite a lot of previously unreleased material from the Van Halen era, which apparently there is still a lot left in the vault after the band disbanded back in 2022, following, of course, the death of the legendary brother of Alex, Eddie Van Halen. And actually, this sounds especially interesting given the fact that Toto are now amidst their monumental The Dogs of Oz tour that started back in 2022 and can be Toto's farewell run, after Lukather announced in 2021 that the Oldies' new album, released in 2018, will be their final record ever. Yet, well, if we're being very honest, for all the Van Halen fans, of course this record will be a rather special one, as it will allow us to see what the brothers came up with before 2022 and what a new Van Halen album could have potentially sounded like.
Can't you see what I mean?
Another loss in the world of rock.
Mama seemed to know what lay in store.
Another hard hit for the world of rock music. The legendary Grateful Dead guitarist, vocalist and founding member Bob Weir passed on January 10th after the battle with cancer and underlying health issues. He was 78 years old. Weir was diagnosed last summer and began the treatment a couple of weeks before his Grateful Dead tribute project Dead & Company played a weekend of shows dedicated to the Grateful Dead's 60th anniversary. And the most interesting thing is that back then many fans actually kind of thought that it might be Weir's final shows ever. And sadly, those actually became such. For more than half a century, Bob Weir was a crucial part of Grateful Dead, one of the most influential bands that inspired generations of rock and metal musicians around the world, and a central figure of the late 60th American stage. They played on the legendary Monterey and Woodstock festivals in '67 and '69, and were included in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1994, a year before they disbanded. So whether you were a Grateful Dead fan or not, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it is a huge loss for the world of rock and metal. So on behalf of all the metal pilgrims around the world, we just want to issue our condolences to the family of Weir and ask all the Grateful fans to blast their wonderful music as loud as they can today in honor of the legendary musician. A surprise from Lamb of God. So, the first one is here! A couple of weeks ago I released a special episode on 26 most anticipated albums of 2026, in which we spoke of the albums which we all want to hear this year, but which sadly were not announced by then yet. And this week, the first one of those has finally been announced. Lamb of God are officially back with their new studio album titled Into Oblivion, set for release on March 13th. Their first full-length album in 4 years. The band announced the album by immediately dropping the title track, Into Oblivion, along with its music video. And sonically, well, it's very much Lamb of God being Lamb of God, with Mark Morton being clear that this album wasn't written to make statement or follow any agenda, just to make music that feels honest and powerful to them. And Randy Blythe adding a bit of a social context to its lyrics, as according to him, this record reflects a world where the social contract feels broken and long-standing norms are quietly falling apart. So basically describing all the shit that is going on around the world right now. I have no fear, I have no sight you cannot see. And by the way, worth noting that the tracks Sepsis and Parasocial Christ, which we did hear before, will be included on this record as well, which overall will consist of 10 brand new songs, produced once again by Josh Wilbur, with whom, of course, the band has worked in the past already. And here's a small but a rather telling detail about how anticipated this album actually is for all of the Lamb of God fans. The first vinyl presses, which went up without any big announcements, were sold out literally in minutes after the band hit them on their website without doing any announcements on social media or anywhere else whatsoever. And yeah, in my opinion, that pretty much tells you everything you need to know about the hype around this upcoming album. Sebastian Bach and Skid Row. In the backdrop of Triumph and Rush reunion, Sebastian Bach expressed an interest in reuniting with his ex-band members at Skid Row and reforming the band's classic lineup except the drummer Rob Affuso. Once again. As Bach told the Metal Voice podcast, he's very happy because of the Triumph reunion, being their big fan since attending their show in Peterborough at 10 years young. And according to Bach, if Triumph and Rush were able to reunite, well, Skid Row are able to do exactly the same thing. And here's the thing, despite the whole fact that, yeah, we all know the history between the two camps, well, as an early Skid Row fan, I actually cannot disagree with Sebastian. And just a reminder for you guys, Sebastian Bach, the frontman whom Skid Row made it to stardom with, left the band in 1996, so 30 years ago. And since then, the two camps, of course, said quite a lot of, well, unpleasant things about each other. And although Skid Row themselves actually said multiple times that they never intend to reunite with Sebastian Bach, I truly hope that in the light of all these amazing reunions, the two camps will find a way to reconciliate and, well, give their fans what they actually want before it's too late. Oh, and by the way, guys, would you like me to release a special episode on the relationship between Skid Row and Sebastian Bach and what actually caused the breakup back in 1996? Please let me know in the comments, as well as what you guys personally think about the possibility of Sebastian Bach returning to Skid Row sometime in the future. I'm actually really curious to find out. And now the time has come for your favorite part of the video, so let's take a look at 5 latest metal releases from this week, which, although did not get their own segments in this video, are still definitely worthy of your attention. German thrash metal veterans Kreator released their 16th studio album Crushers of the World, recorded in 2025 and issued via Nuclear Blast. The record continues Mili Petrossa's unrelenting approach to thrash, featuring guest vocals from Britta Gertz and supported by singles like Seven Serpents, leading into their upcoming European tour with Exodus and Carcass. And yeah, a full review of this album is already available via link in the description to this video. blackened deathcore outfit of Sulfur dropped their sophomore album Endless through Century Media Records, and pushes beyond their deathcore roots by weaving black metal intensity with surprising melodic elements, delivering frontman Ricky Hoover's visceral vocals and boundary-pushing heaviness across the full length of the release. Singer-songwriter Charlotte Wessels and her band The Obsession released After Us The Flood, their first single since the Obsession album cycle. Built from intimate symphonic passages into a heavier, climatic finish, the track confronts climate change denial and the fragility of perceived safety, shaped with production and mixing by Joost van den Broek. Venice Beach hardcore punk outfit XComm issued their latest single Fake ID, along with a music video. Vocalist Michael Gatto explains the song came from being turned away at shows for being underage, turning frustration into a punchy anthem backed by full-on chaotic energy. Pioneer punk rockers The Damned released Summer in the City, reworking the classic with their trademark attitude and history-steeped performance. The single blends gritty vocals with an energetic arrangement that reflects the band's enduring presence in punk and rock. A new episode of Drummers and Drama. Well, that was quick. Jay Weinberg announced his departure from Tendencies, less than 2 years after he left Slipknot to join one of the most legendary crossover thrash groove metal bands. In a lengthy and a very personal statement, Weinberg made it clear that this was not a fallout or creative conflict, and the reason for his departure is actually a rather noble one. Jay and his wife Chloe are expecting their first child, and so he's consciously shifting his focus towards family and long-delayed creative projects. Among them are his collaborative series Portraits of an Apparition, new musical ideas that are still under wraps, and building a proper home studio before fatherhood takes over.
You wouldn't understand, Dad. You're not with it. I used to be with it, but then they changed what it was. Now what I'm with isn't it, and what's it seems weird and scary to me.
In his statement, Weinberg also spoke with deep gratitude about his time in Tendencies, thanking his now ex-band members and the fans of the band. And here's the thing, I actually consider Jay Weinberg to be one of the most interesting modern metal drummers. So the truth is that I would absolutely love to see him do more with Tendencies, the band which you can still not announced properly on YouTube, especially since he joined the band only in March of 2024, while also simultaneously working with infectious groups. But as a father, I totally understand his decision to slow down. And I'm sure all the fans would love to see what he does come up with on his own when the time comes. Scary news from the Glenn Hughes camp. The voice of rock, Glenn Hughes, was forced to cancel all of his upcoming 2026 United States dates due to health issues. And according to Hughes' official website, those health issues likely are minor, but still need his attention. So, taking advice from the doctors whom he closely works with, Glenn decided to cancel the upcoming US tour, which of course spiked quite a lot of concern among the Hughes fans.
You need to know how much I care for you and love you, just please understand.
Back in November of last year, Glenn Hughes was also forced to cut short his The Chosen Years tour show in Belo Horizonte because of falling ill on stage due to dehydration. So we all, of course, can only support Glenn's decision to cancel the upcoming one. And here's the thing, I actually saw Glenn a couple of years ago in Spain, and back then he was in great humor and sounded, wow, the way Glenn Hughes should sound like. So I sincerely wish Glenn all the best and for him to get back on stage as soon as he can. Because the thing is that despite being over 70 years old today, with his insane energy, he can still tear the crowds apart all across the world. And I truly hope that he will do that very soon, once again. Zakk Wylde honoring Ozzy Osbourne. Former Ozzy Osbourne guitarist Zakk Wylde and his metal band Black Label Society will honor the legendary Prince of Darkness Ozzy Osbourne, who sadly passed away last year, on their upcoming 12th studio album titled Engines of Demolition. Oh, and yeah, Black Label Society have finally announced their 12th studio album titled Engines of Demolition. So the new Black Label Society album will be released on March 27th. Will feature 13 brand new songs and will become the band's first new album since 2021, when they released Doom Crew Incorporated. And apparently Zakk Wylde wrote all the songs on it while traveling the world with his other band Pantera, which has influenced those tracks quite a lot. And in order to celebrate this announcement, Zakk also have released the song which will open this record. But if we're being very honest, the most anticipated song on this album will actually be the one that will close this record. And the track number 13 on this album is named Ozzy's Song and is a tribute to the legendary Prince of Darkness, who of course passed on July 22nd last year, just a couple of weeks after the final Black Sabbath show Back to the Beginning in Ozzy's native Birmingham. And of course Zakk Wylde was alongside Ozzy on stage that night. And according to him, back then he actually did not really comprehend and could not even imagine that it will actually be the last time he will play Mama I'm Coming Home and Crazy Train alongside his lifelong friend. And thus I guess it's no surprise that the last track on this album will be a ballad and will be dedicated to the legendary Ozzy Osbourne, which I don't know about you, but makes me want to hear this album even more than I did before, especially now knowing that it will be closing with what possibly will be one of the most important songs for all of the fans of Ozzy Osbourne and Zakk Wylde, released this year. But anyways, what new music did you listen to this week? Please let us know in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Please don't forget to like it, comment under it, subscribe to this channel, and of course join our communities on Instagram, X, Threads, Facebook, Discord, and anywhere you can post content these days. But most importantly, thank you guys for all the support you're showing to me, this show, and Ukraine through this very difficult time. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will prevail. Slava Ukraini!